Hello, ladies. Welcome to this week's Menopause Minute. I am going to close the blind real quick because I don't like the light that is behind me, so I will be right back. I've spent about the last 10 minutes down here trying to get what I consider to be good lighting, and maybe it's just not going to happen today. So anyway, I wanted to talk to you today about weight gain. And what I did last night was I put out a question to my Hormone Harmony Club, which is my private Facebook group. And if you'd like to join that, you can just search in Facebook on Hormone Harmony Club and it will bring that up for you. Or you can go to my website, drannagaret.com/HHC, and that will also, excuse me, bring you to the page where you can request to join the Hormone Harmony Club. So I was hoping that I'd get like a couple of simple questions that maybe I could answer, and a little softball here and there, and then I'd make my little short video, and that would be that. But no, instead I got served the mother lode of a question, which was, can I possibly lose weight in menopause? And I was like, because that is a huge, huge question. So what I've decided to do is talk about it starting today, and then for the next 3 weeks, I'll touch on a different aspect of it because, I mean, to be honest with you, I have an entire 12-week weight loss program. So obviously, I cannot do this in 3 or 4 minutes. And I certainly couldn't do this topic justice. So anyway, let's get started. So why do you gain weight in perimenopause and menopause? Well, the first reason is an estrogen to progesterone imbalance. That's a very, very common reason. It's often called estrogen dominance, but really it's an excess of estrogen to progesterone. Second reason, a cortisol imbalance. So if you have a cortisol imbalance, usually on the high side, you start to gain weight around your middle, whereas with estrogen and progesterone imbalance, you tend to gain it more in your hips and thighs. So that's how you can sort of tease out those two things. Third reason, your thyroid becomes sluggish. And this is a part of aging. But it also happens that a lot of women have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune disease, but it can manifest as weight gain too. So I'm saving that for another week. And then insulin resistance is the fourth thing. And again, this can be a product of aging, or it can be a product of a lifestyle that needs to be reworked. So today, I am going to focus on estrogen progesterone imbalance, otherwise known as estrogen dominance. So many women have this in perimenopause and menopause. And as I mentioned, it manifests itself as weight gain in hips and thighs. A lot of estrogen dominance issues are related to lifestyle. So if you are eating a lot of processed foods, if you are not sleeping, if you are exposed to a lot of things in your environment that act like estrogen, like plastics or pesticides, these can all worsen that situation. So there are really only two ways to fix this. One, you lower estrogen. Two, you raise progesterone. So how are we going to do this? Well, with estrogen, if the approach is to lower it, and you really can't know that without testing, because it's possible to be estrogen dominant and have low estrogen. So that would mean that your progesterone was really, really low. So that's why testing can be really handy, because if you are estrogen dominant but you have low estrogen and we start lowering your estrogen, then we could bring on symptoms like hot flashes and night sweats, and obviously we don't want to worsen a situation if we can avoid it. So the opposite is true for most women. Most women have elevated estrogen levels, and they either have low or normal progesterone levels. So how do we get the estrogen down? Well, one way is to eat a lot of fiber in your diet. So the reason for that is because fiber helps keep things moving along in your GI tract. So you basically poop out excess estrogen. So if you've got issues with constipation, then you are basically recirculating that estrogen in your body, which then contributes more to weight gain and the estrogen dominance situation. The other thing you can do is take DIM or indole 3-carbinol as supplements, and both of these come from cruciferous vegetable extracts. And what they do is help send your estrogen down a metabolic pathway that doesn't increase your cancer risk. So there's a lot more detail about that, but they're very safe. You couldn't possibly eat enough broccoli to have as much of this compound as you'll get in a tablet. And so I actually take that one myself because I do have a very high breast cancer risk and I want to keep my estrogen moving down the right track. The other thing you can do is clean up your diet. So I cannot stress the importance of cleaning up lifestyle. And we talk about this all the time in the Hormone Harmony Club because it makes such a difference. I mean, I've known women who, cut out gluten and dairy and alcohol and caffeine, and all of a sudden it's like the light bulb comes on and they feel like new people, which is awesome. So that is an excellent step to take. And it sounds like it could be overwhelming to make all those changes at once. But here's the thing, you don't have to make them all at once. You can pick one to work on and focus on it for a while until you've got it mastered and then move on to something else. So, alcohol in particular is a problem if you have high estrogen because when you drink, you're actually raising your estrogen levels more, and most of us just don't need that. All right, so the other approach is to raise progesterone. So how are you going to do that? Well, there are a couple of ways. Whoops, just kicked the tripod. You can take chasteberry, which is an herb. It's also known as Vitex, and that helps balance out your estrogen and your progesterone. So it doesn't really work as well for women who are moving toward menopause. So if you're in early perimenopause, this is a pretty good choice for you before you moved on to something like progesterone supplementation, which is the other option that we have. So progesterone supplementation can be done using over-the-counter progesterone cream. And I know that there's a lot of talk about should women be using progesterone cream on their own. Well, in a perfect world, no. We'd all have someone to guide us through menopause to help with testing. But the truth of the matter is that some women don't have the resources to do that. And in my mind, there is not a lot of downside to progesterone supplementation. So it comes in 3% and 10% strengths. I do not recommend that people start with the 10% strength because that is a very big dose and you want to see how your body's going to react to it before you jump in and really, really take a high dose. So if you're having to use a lot of progesterone cream at the 3% dose, then you may want to transition to 10% so you're not having so much volume that you have to rub around. Chris, I know you love your progesterone cream. I'm so happy for you. I'm glad that you're feeling so much better. So I generally recommend starting with a dose of 20 to 40 milligrams a day, which is more or less what your body is going to make if you're ovulating on a regular basis. There are lots of brands of cream, and I think the trick really is to find one that you like the consistency of, because some of them tend to be thicker than others and they're tough to get rubbed in. So Emerita is one that I've used. Life Flow is another. And then a lot of our ladies in Hormone Harmony Club like Ona's brand as well, because it is a lighter consistency and isn't that tough to rub in. So that is sort of the 30,000 foot version of how to manage estrogen dominance. And I know that it's a much bigger topic than that. So if you have questions about it, please go post in the group or post on this page, and I'll be happy to answer them as I can. I just want to remind people that I can't give specific medical advice because that's illegal online in Facebook. So if you're not a member of the Hormone Harmony Club, I'm inviting you to go join. I have to approve your membership, and that's really just so that I can keep out men and people who just look like they're trying to sell something. So I do take a look at everybody's profile before I let them in, and that way we keep the group clean and private and safe. And I'd like for you to mark your calendars for the next 3 Tuesdays at 11:20, because I'm going to touch on the other imbalances that I just mentioned. So cortisol is next week, then we'll talk about thyroid, and then we'll talk about insulin resistance, because they all play a big role in perimenopause and menopause weight gain. So be looking for me at that time. And if you're interested in hormone testing, it's very, very simple. I use saliva kits, or I've actually started using the Dutch Complete Kit, which is a urine test. And I really love this because it not only gives us the basic hormone levels, it also gives me the metabolites, which is how your hormones are being broken down in your body, so that I can see what pathways they're going into, and we can really target and tweak and get you headed in a different direction if you're having issues. So happy to share more information about that with you. And I would love, to work with any of you to get you feeling better. But, as a free resource, my website, drannaggarrett.com, has tons and tons of blog content. And then the Hormone Harmony Club is all free. And we got close to 2,000 people in there now, which is awesome. So thank you all for your support. So that's what I've got for you today. I hope this was helpful. And I will see you next week at 11:20 on Tuesday. That's 11:20 Eastern Daylight Time. And we'll talk about cortisol and weight gain. See you soon. Bye.